alcohol attacked one another at the polls. The wrong political statement put into print could result in a challenge to a duel or a surprise attack in the streets. Election day riots were sadly common. This was considered no space for women. There was little debate over this point because America's men and women agreed that the two sexes were suited to different spheres. Men belonged in the political, competitive, public world of work and elections, and women in the peaceful, religious, domestic realm of children and home. Women who crossed this line and insisted on openly expressing their political views did so at their own peril. The abolitionist Grimke sisters became notorious in the 1830s for insisting on speaking in public and were threatened with death by angry mobs. This was the reality of women's lives in 1848. Yet somehow Mrs. James K. Polk managed to stand above the constraints that bound other women. Her views on the manifest destiny of the United States were well known, as were her political efforts in support of her husband. Indeed, her dedication to her husband's agenda, and the fact that the two were a seemingly inseparable team, was a large part of her appeal as a First Lady. In 1848, she was the most powerful woman in America. She controlled access to her husband and helped coordinate the Democratic Party's political agenda. She managed her husband's political campaigns and negotiated on his behalf with men who understood her value as a conduit. No accident. Her power was grounded in decades of work as a political spouse, her remarkable powers of innovation, a deep and abiding love of politics, and the unpaid labor of dozens of enslaved people who toiled for her in her home and on a cotton plantation. As a marital partner and her husband's closest advisor, Mrs. James K. Polk, the name she preferred for herself, helped create the office of the First Lady. Her political partnership with her husband and the manner in which she expanded the First Lady's role prefigured the activist First Ladies of our own era. But Sarah Childress Polk wasn't just powerful. She was popular, remarkably so. Parents who knew her only as Mrs. Polk searched for her Christian name so they might bestow it on their newborn daughters. Gold Rush travelers passing through Gorgona, Panama, reported seeing her likeness hanging on the wall of the alcalde's office. Although her curly hair remained jet black well into her 40s, her popularity had little to do with her appearance. Her prominent nose and sallow complexion diverged from the period's standard of female beauty, and she was understandably self-conscious about her bad teeth. But she had a commanding presence and the ability to put virtually anyone at ease. She skillfully manipulated the press in order to manufacture a public persona as a democratic, approachable, perfect partner to her husband that both women and men found highly appealing. She laughed easily and was an engaging conversationalist. Even her husband's enemies liked her. She was the first politically effective partisan First Lady in a period when the role of women was strictly circumscribed. She forged and maintained private relationships with men, exchanging information with them for her husband's benefit that he was not privy to, and that in some cases he would not want to know. She broke the rules of Washington society, but made sure to always maintain plausible deniability. She outwardly conformed to the idea that men and women had separate spheres of influence, while herself choosing to remain as much as possible with men rather than with women. A critic in the 1870s admitted that Sarah presided over the White House with a wider popularity than has since been obtained by any of her successors. Everyone knew who Mrs. James K. Polk was, or thought they knew who she was, in 1848, and almost everyone loved her.